In recent months, Lithuania, Estonia, and Poland declared an emergency after unidentified balloons drifted in from Belarus, triggering airport shutdowns and security alerts. In Latvia, a drone, believed to be linked to Russia, crossed into NATO airspace, forcing defenses to activate before crashing inside its territory. Individually, these incidents seem small: a balloon, a drone, a brief airspace violation, but together, they reveal something far more dangerous. The attacking side strikes with cheap weapons. The defending side responds with expensive ones. Over time, ammunition stocks dwindle, and the balance of power begins to shift. That is the new reality of modern warfare. A calculated campaign, a slow, deliberate testing of NATO's limits. Because this is how modern conflict begins, not with missiles, but with ambiguity, not with invasion, but with intrusion. And nowhere is this more dangerous than in one specific place, the Suwałki Gap. A narrow 100-kilometer stretch of land between Belarus and Russia's heavily militarized Kaliningrad region. On a map, it looks insignificant. In reality, it's one of the most dangerous flashpoints on Earth, because this thin corridor is the only land link connecting the Baltic states to the rest of NATO. If it's cut off, Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia could be isolated in a matter of days. And that's exactly why every drone incursion, every balloon crossing, every accidental violation matters. They're not accidents. An Estonian engineer has found a way to flip the script on modern drone warfare. Kusti Salm, the CEO of Frankenberg Technologies, came up with a genius solution to a problem that has been costing Europe millions: how to stop swarms of cheap Russian drones without spending a fortune. The answer? The Mark I missile. About the size of a baguette, it looks almost harmless, like a model rocket. But beneath its modest exterior lies a weapon designed for mass production, affordability, and efficiency. At first glance, the Mark I looks more like a model rocket than a battlefield weapon, but Salm emphasizes its serious purpose. Lightweight, low cost, and easy to mass produce, the missile is built on the principle of affordable mass. According to him, in modern warfare, especially against swarms of cheap drones, launching a large number of simple, effective interceptors often beats relying on a few expensive, complex systems. In Salm's words, the Mark I isn't designed to be perfect, it's designed to be good enough and to give Europe a practical, scalable way to defend itself. And nowhere is this imbalance more visible than on NATO's eastern edge, where Russia's strategy isn't just about tanks or missiles anymore, it's about math. Simple, brutal math. A few $1,000s versus hundreds of thousands. A swarm of low-cost drones versus some of the most advanced and expensive defense systems ever built. Since the invasion of Ukraine, Russia has quietly transformed itself into a drone production powerhouse. Hundreds of drones, cheap, expendable, and deadly, are now being produced every single day. These drones are not just weapons. They are tools of economic warfare, because every time one of these drones flies, it forces the defender to make a difficult choice. Either let it hit, or spend vastly more money to stop it. Imagine using an $80 million fighter jet like the F-35 Lightning II to shoot down a drone that costs maybe $20,000, or firing a $200,000 missile at a target that was built for a fraction of that price. That's not just inefficient, it's unsustainable, and this is exactly the trap Russia wants its enemies to fall into. But for countries like Poland, this isn't a distant problem. It's right at their doorstep. Because from Warsaw's perspective, this isn't just about Ukraine, it's about what comes next. Poland, along with Estonia and Latvia, sees Russia not just as a regional rival, but as a direct and growing threat. And that fear isn't based on speculation, it's based on patterns. Over the past few years, Russia and its ally Belarus have turned NATO's eastern border into what many officials now call a hybrid war zone. This isn't traditional warfare. There are no official declarations, no clear front lines. Instead, it's a constant stream of gray zone tactics designed to test, pressure, and destabilize, without triggering a full-scale NATO response. At times, it looks like waves of migrants suddenly appearing at the border, pushed forward in coordinated surges. At other times, it's balloon-like objects drifting across airspace, probing defenses. Then there are drones, small, cheap, and difficult to track, buzzing along the edges of sovereign territory. Each incident, on its own, seems minor, but together, they form a pattern designed to stretch defenses, create confusion, and slowly normalize constant pressure. And Poland has been one of the primary targets. In response, Poland didn't just react, it hardened itself. Hundreds of kilometers of fortified borders, anti-tank trenches carved into the landscape, concrete barriers designed to stop vehicles dead in their tracks. Advanced surveillance systems, electronic sensors, motion detection, and ground radar monitor every inch of the frontier. At one point, even underground infiltration attempts, tunnels dug beneath barriers, were detected and stopped. And behind all of this, a massive force. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers on alert. But even with all of this, one problem remained unsolved: the drone problem. Because no matter how strong your walls are, drones can fly right over them. And that brings us back to the core issue: cost. Russia's strategy relies on overwhelming defenses, not with superior technology, but with sheer volume. Send enough cheap drones, and eventually the defender runs out of expensive interceptors. It's not about winning every strike. It's about exhausting the enemy. And for a long time, NATO didn't have a good answer to this, until now. Because Poland and its partners just made a move that could fundamentally change the game. A move that flips the equation. Instead of responding to cheap drones with expensive missiles, they decided to fight cheap with cheap. At the center of this strategy is something called the Mark I, a short-range air defense missile designed specifically for one purpose: killing drones efficiently. But what makes the Mark I revolutionary isn't just what it does, it's how it does it. Developed through a partnership between Poland's defense giant PGZ and an Estonian tech company, this system is built around a simple but powerful idea: affordability at scale. Because the real battle isn't just about technology, it's about production. Russia can produce drones in massive numbers, so the only way to counter that is to produce interceptors in massive numbers too. Talking about up to 10,000 missiles per year. That's not a defense system, that's an industrial response to modern warfare. And the Mark I isn't just cheap, it's smart. It uses an optoelectronic guidance system, allowing it to independently track and engage targets. No constant operator input, no complex coordination, just fire and forget. Once launched, it hunts. And then there's the warhead. Instead of traditional metal fragments, the Mark I uses a lightweight 500-gram payload filled with glass fragments. Why glass? Because against lightweight drone frames, glass can be even more effective than metal. It shreds through fragile structures with precision, maximizing damage while keeping costs low. The system is optimized for exactly the kind of drones Russia uses, especially Class 3 drones like the infamous Shahed variants. Operationally, it's designed for close-range defense. It can engage targets up to 2 kilometers away, and at altitudes of up to 1.5 kilometers. That makes it ideal for protecting cities, infrastructure, and critical military assets. And perhaps most importantly, it restores balance. Because now, instead of spending $200,000 to stop a $20,000 drone, you can respond with something far closer in cost. The economic advantage, the very foundation of Russia's drone strategy, starts to disappear. But Poland didn't stop there. This isn't just about one missile, it's about building an entire layered defense system. A system where different technologies work together: interceptor drones, short-range missiles like Mark I, and future systems like the Mark II, which is already in development, with an extended range of up to 5 to 8 kilometers. The goal? To create a dense, multi-layered shield, a kind of European drone wall. A network of defenses stretching across NATO's eastern flank, from Poland through Estonia and Latvia, forming a continuous barrier against aerial threats. And this is where the cooperation between these countries becomes critical, because none of them can do this alone. Individually, they are relatively small compared to Russia, but together, they form a strategic front line. Estonia brings technological innovation. Poland brings industrial capacity and military scale. Latvia contributes strategic positioning and integration within the Baltic defense network. And all of them share the same urgency. Because geographically, they are exposed. They sit directly on the edge of NATO territory. And history has taught them a hard lesson. When it comes to Russia, preparation is everything. For these countries, the war in Ukraine isn't just news, it's a warning, a real-time demonstration of what modern conflict looks like. Drone swarms, hybrid warfare, constant pressure without formal escalation, and they are adapting accordingly. Even testing these systems in real combat conditions, Ukraine has effectively become the world's most advanced testing ground for drone warfare. And systems like the Mark I are expected to be trialed there against actual Russian drones, because there's no better way to refine a weapon than to test it in the environment it was built for. If successful, this could mark a turning point, not just for Poland, but for all of NATO, because the implications go far beyond one region. This is about redefining air defense for the 21st century, moving away from a model that relies on a small number of extremely expensive systems, to one that emphasizes scale, affordability, and adaptability. In other words, fighting a modern war on modern terms. Because the reality is, wars are no longer won served by having the most advanced technology. They're won by having the right technology, at the right scale, at the right cost. And right now, Poland may have just found that balance, a way to neutralize one of Russia's most effective strategies, without falling into the trap of economic exhaustion. Because in the end, the side that runs out of resources first loses. And for the first time in this drone war, that might not be the defender anymore.